Sonic X Shadow Generations is perhaps one of the most highly anticipated Sonic games here of basically all time. With a brand new trailer that just recently dropped, showcasing all of Shadow's newest abilities and powers in full scale here, it's safe to assume that this game is most certainly not done yet. I'm really excited. For one thing, I'm absolutely over the moon about this game, showing off all of the different Black Doom abilities that Shadow now has access to in this game. It's just another thing that's the real icing on the cake here. How could this game get any possibly better from here on out? The main topic of this video then will be going in depth a bit more on that angle. We'll be going ahead and showing off what specific stages from Sonic's vast history I'd personally love to see make a comeback here. So far we have confirmation of Radical Highway and Final Chase from Sonic Adventure 2 making it into the game, but for what it's worth, I figured, hey, I'll throw in my 2 cents and give a little insight into my perspective here on what actual stages I would love to personally see. Last time I talked about this game, for anyone unfamiliar, I did go over a few boss battles from the Sonic series as well. Surprisingly, we have Metal Sonic coming back in the form of, well, Metal Overlord. That is something right there I never expected Sega and Sonic Team to ever do. The fact that we have Metal Overlord of all characters coming back is really cool. Going from there, we can scratch off Metal Sonic and Metal Overlord for that matter. I guess that confirms basically everything up until this point that I really want to be included here in the game. Going back to the stage list here though, I had to really narrow down the list here because this would have been easily a almost hour-long video. You know, if I was taking from every single Sonic game that had Shadow in it, this video would have been probably, I'd say, almost an hour long in length, if not more. So we're going to go ahead here, and I took my all-time #1 favorite pick from each respective game that Shadow's appeared in and been playable in for that matter, and narrowed down this list here to the all-time #1 with perhaps 1 or 2 honorable mentions thrown in for good measure. So that way this video, like I said, it's not overblown and just a massive project to undertake here. Going now with my first pick, we kick things off with Sonic Adventure 2's White Jungle. So this being a Shadow only level, I feel, while it could definitely be useful in Sonic X Shadow Generations, for me it's just an enjoyable level that's always fun to try and speedrun and see if you can get the fastest time and the greatest score on it and whatnot. I feel like we need more nature themed levels here in Sonic X Shadow. I'm all for city levels, don't get me wrong, let's not get that twisted here, but you can only see so many buildings and skyscrapers one after another that it just starts to get a tad repetitive in terms of theming. So for me, I really would love to have White Jungle included here, and just to make sure that this level gets represented to the best of Sega and Sonic Team's ability if this were to get remastered for the modern era of Sonic games here. So then, my first pick here from Sonic Adventure 2 is going to go to White Jungle. So then as we move along here through the Dreamcast era, guys, if you enjoy what you see from this and want to see even more Sonic X Shadow related content in the future here, be sure to let me know down below. Why don't we go ahead and get a quick discussion going. What stages from Sonic's history would you guys all want to see appear in Sonic X Shadow Generations if you had the power and decision to say, I want this specific stage from this specific Sonic game? Let me know, and let's get talking about it here. I really want to see what everybody thinks. In regards to this game, I am absolutely over the moon about this title. As we move on now to Sonic Heroes, now this one's going to be a little bit of a curveball. There's a method to my madness here. First up, we have Hang Castle from Sonic Heroes. In Sonic Generations, there are no real holiday themed levels of sort to be found in the game, and I figured, hey, what better stage to do that with than a Halloween themed level? You know, leading into the horror element here a little bit. Just a tad. In terms of set pieces here, I feel like Hang Castle is an absolute shoo-in for this type of aesthetic, and it really nails everything it's trying to do. You know, this is one of the best stages in Sonic Heroes, bar none. And I feel like this could be done really well in the modern era, and if this layout would be translated correctly, having perhaps the switch gimmick in place to really help confuse the player a bit while you're going through this level, I feel could be a truly fun. Say for instance, what if we are running along in 3D, you know, in boost style gameplay, and suddenly we hit one of the switches and then there's like a quick cutscene, all of a sudden then you're in classic Sonic 2D gameplay from the side-scrolling perspective. So this could be really cool to really mess with the player's senses here. I feel like this could really add a lot of surprises and references, such as this statue here of the notorious Dr. Eggman in all of his egg-shaped glory. But why stop there though? You know, why not expand this further and then add on to it by having the statue of Metal Sonic. Perhaps if the switch will get flipped then it could instantly switch and change it up to really throw the player, like I said, for a doozy. And also just the gravity in general being a tad floatier here and lighter could really help to make the jumps a little bit more precise. So if you don't get the jumps right exactly, it's not really going to punish you. It's not going to make you lose a life or anything of that nature, of course, but it would definitely be something that would shake things up in terms of gameplay and the overall aesthetics here, like I said, of this Halloween theme. I just absolutely adore this level, as well as its counterpart, Mystic Mansion. Is the fact that if it would have been shorter in its level length, I would have included it here instead of Hang Castle, but that's the only main complaint for me. It's just too long of a level, it's not that fun, it's indoors, it's just really not something I'd want in an anniversary game. From Sonic Heroes here, I'd say my vote has to go for Hang Castle. But there is an honorable mention though. Let's not get it twisted here, guys. So the honorable mention for this from Sonic Heroes would of course be Final Fortress, aka the ultimate zone here, the last zone in the game for that matter. So Final Fortress is the basic end-all be-all here of Dr. Eggman's many secret bases throughout the series, and has all kinds of elaborate traps and enemies, and pits, don't forget pits, to really throw the player off their game, and to test them to see if they've mastered the abilities of the game so far up until this point. That being said, Final Fortress is of course my honorable mention here, and one that I really would like to have included if I had the choice between that and Hang Castle. It's honestly a toss-up here, I'd say. I really love both these stages equally. Even with the Halloween aesthetic aside from Hang Castle, Final Fortress just screams Eggman. You know, it just screams that diabolical evil genius that Sonic and friends have been fighting for all these years. It just speaks to me on so many levels. I mean, for crying out loud, it even has laser cannons equipped to it. Like, how can you possibly beat that? Either between Final Fortress here and Hang Castle would both be lovely additions to Sonic X Shadow Generations. At the end of the day, if I had it, well, my way. Are there any other Eggman themed levels though that you guys would think would fit perhaps better than Final Fortress? If you were given the opportunity here to make the final call? I can't really think of any at the top of my head besides Final Egg from the original Sonic Adventure, since in Sonic Adventure 2 there weren't really that many bases to run around in besides the Pyramid Cave. In terms of variety there, that doesn't really have that much appeal to me. I would love to see though what you guys think about this, like I said previously. You know, let me know down below, and let's get talking here about all things related to Sonic X Shadow Generations. So moving on here from Sonic Heroes, while it's been fun, I'd say that again, either Hang Castle or, well, Final Fortress would be either of the two levels that I'd love to have included here in Sonic X Shadow. You guys all know what's next after Sonic Heroes here, and we'll be moving on to that game now. Now we'll be going into one of the most infamous Sonic titles ever created. No, not Sonic 06. That will be later in this video, since I did read your guys' comments about Sonic 06 being sadly not included in the last video about this game, and I figured I'd try and do something about it and give it a fair shot here, just like the rest of these games. And you guys don't have to worry about that at all, but for now we'll be talking about Shadow the Hedgehog from 2005. Now I know, jokes aside, this game is what it is, but you know, in my opinion here, it's definitely not underrated by any means, but I feel like in general it's just overhated. Looking back on everything here now, and with the slippery ice physics aside, it's really not that bad. It is what it is though. It's definitely not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and it has a lot of problems, but hey, it's playable, it's functioning. I can go from point A to point B with Shadow and not die and lose a life. That's gotta be something, right? And count towards some merit for the game. I mean, it's not terrible, but also it's not bad. It's just sort of in between those two, if we're talking about parameters here. Anyway then, the stage from Shadow the Hedgehog that I would love to see come back and make a return here in Sonic X Shadow Generations is of course the Black Comet. So this was Black Doom's main base of operations here with the Black Arms alien race. And this could be really something that expands on not just, of course, Black Doom's character and whatnot, but a real change up here in terms of setting and enemy variety and placement. You know, this could be something, of course, not with the firearm mechanic withstanding. This could still be a very solid level if done right. Of course, providing branching pathways for this is something that isn't really done all that much. And also, of course, not having a helper character with you to choose which mission you want to do. So maybe perhaps they could fit in some other type of Black Doom related level with this and have them both work together with each other in terms of art style. So maybe perhaps one that I feel would work really well off this level would have to go to Death Ruins. So that level has a lot of vines and shrubbery around it, growing out of it, and so that could work really well. For just one example off the top of my head here, that could potentially work with Black Comet if both stages actually end up coming back, or even just this one for that matter. For Black Comet though, that's one that I can't help but want to have included here all the more. It's like a de facto, almost like an Eggman base, I guess if you'd categorize it that way. It deserves to come back though. We need different level variety and themes. You can only run through so many urban areas so many times that after a while it would just start to get old and repetitive, you know? I feel like Black Comet deserves to come back here and really show off what Shadow the Hedgehog was at least trying to do in theory. But in terms of its execution though, we're just going to stop there. So yeah, I'd say though that Black Comet definitely deserves to come back. Along with Death Ruins, if they can make that work together with the theming and level layout and such. I'd rather just have Black Comet though than Black Comet and Death Ruins return, because that really wouldn't make sense from like a story perspective. Unless there'd be a way to tie it all in together with a nice little bow and make it all make sense. So moving on now to one of the most, perhaps the most infamous Sonic game. We're finally talking about it here, guys. That's right. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. So Sonic 06 is a game that I don't really want to go over its history of. I'm trying to focus here on the positives of this game and what this fan project, specifically Sonic Project 06, was trying to do. It's done a really good job from what I played of it here so far, from my footage of it. It does a lot of things right, and it fixes pretty much all the problems that the original game had. I can't understate enough how happy I was to actually play a working version of 06 here, and this fan project just nails it on every single category here. Of course, there are going to be a few glitches here and there, but nothing's perfect at the end of the day, let's be real here. But for what this fan project really does, it does well. And I can't wait to see when it's finally done, because I'm still waiting to see what the boss battles will feel and look like. So I'll definitely have to go back and revisit this at some point. Sonic Project 06 has been the definitive way, like I said, to revisit this game. So then the stage of choice that I would love to see make a return here in its full glory is of course Shadow Stage, White Acropolis. I feel like this deserves to really be here because, let's be honest here, we need a snow theme level in this game. What's up with that, Sega? Like, why can't we have a snow theme level here? I feel like this would also help, in addition to say Hang Castle or Final Fortress from Sonic Heroes even, to piggyback off of that point here, to really help these stages stand out and help them break the mold here for what Sonic can and should be in terms of stages. This would be so cool to play in as Shadow in a new style here and a new fresh aesthetic here along with these enemies. This could really work. Of course, there probably won't be the boss, that being the Egg Cerberus dog from Sonic 06. If it's either in the game or not in the game, but this stage, at least, if I was given the opportunity, I would love to have this in and return here for the list of stages that could be implemented here. Everything from this, from the spotlight searches to the robots and the way that the level is laid out. I mean, this is already fun and fine as it is, but it could just be 2 times the fun, 2 times the chaos and mayhem here. Of course, with Shadow's chaos powers as well, this could just be a real treat for the fans. Now, I know we're getting Kingdom Valley remastered, and that's all great and everything, but to have another stage from Sonic 06 in addition to that would just be the icing on the cake. So then I guess on that note, that'll just about do it here for everything on my end in regards to Shadow's past appearances here and what specific stages from each Sonic game I'd love to see up here and make a comeback if given the chance to in Sonic X Shadow Generations. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this video though from me, and please be sure to let me know what you think about this video then of course down below. Give it a like, comment your favorite moment, and also what specific stage would you want to see return in Sonic X Shadow Generations? So then everybody, be sure to keep it tuned though right here for all this and then some. So until my next video when we all meet again, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the flip side. See you later!